Hello everyone, welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100. My name is Scott, also known as CineRam here on YouTube. I do videos on Thursdays for this collaboration channel, and our theme this week is the one, the only Leonardo DiCaprio. This guy, I didn't see him on Growing Pains, but he came to my attention when he appeared in a movie alongside Robert De Niro called This Boy's Life back in 1993. That was 23 years ago. 23 years ago he was in that movie. It's amazing how fast this time has gone by. He's gone from being an adorable kid to a very sort of youthful-looking 40-something actor. It's pretty amazing to think that he's, basically only about a year and a half younger than me. He still looks so young. Yeah, and he's, become the real box office titan now. And I was trying to think of a movie to review because I'd actually just done a review of Catch Me If You Can, like in December, I think. And I love that movie, I really do. But I, of course, wanted to do something different for this video. EJ, who does the Saturday videos, he suggested I do a top 5. He ended up doing a top 10, his own personal 10 favorite DiCaprio movies. I thought, that could be interesting. I already know what the #1 movie would be. But then I started to think on doing something a little different, and that is to compare DiCaprio's career with another box office titan, because I began to notice some interesting similarities between the two, and that would be Mr. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise started out as, of course, like many actors, a nobody, playing small roles in movies where he was not the headliner, no one knew who he was, but then had a breakthrough with A Risky Business, and then became a megastar a couple years later with Top Gun. That Top Gun was actually the highest grossing movie of 1986. And ever since then, he's been a real box office champ. Most of his movies have been very successful, and after he's done his share of like sort of popcorn movies, but he's also sought out a lot of very, very highly acclaimed directors over the course of his career. And DiCaprio has done pretty much the same thing. The big difference between Tom Cruise and DiCaprio, aside from their age, is the fact that DiCaprio has not sort of sought out any sort of big franchise, whereas Tom Cruise has made thus far 5 Mission Impossible movies with a 6th on the way, and he's due to make a second Jack Reacher movie. But other than that, I've noticed a lot of similarities as far as the kinds of movies and the kinds of filmmaking talent that each of these guys has sought out. Cruise has established strong ties with guys like Steven Spielberg and Cameron Crowe. He's made 2 movies with each of them. And Christopher McQuarrie, who directed the first Jack Reacher movie, also directed Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which is the Mission Impossible movie that came out last summer. And he's going to be making the 6th movie as well. In addition, Edward Zwick, who did The Last Samurai, has been hired to direct a Jack Reacher 2. The first guy who Tom Cruise really hooked up with is Tony Scott, of course, the Top Gun director. A couple years later, he made Days of Thunder with him. DiCaprio, on the other hand, has made 2 movies for Baz Luhrmann, Romeo and Juliet, and The Great Gatsby. Now, both of these guys have worked with the great director Martin Scorsese. However, although Tom Cruise has only made 1 film with Scorsese, The Color of Money, whereas Leonardo has made 5. Leo's made 5 movies with Scorsese, and he's probably going to end up making another one at some point. They seem to work very nicely together. Here's some of the other directors who Tom Cruise has worked for. Francis Ford Coppola, Ridley Scott, Barry Levinson, Oliver Stone, Ron Howard, Sidney Pollack, Brian De Palma, John Woo, J.J. Abrams, Brad Bird, Paul Thomas Anderson, Robert Redford, Ben Stiller, Doug Liman, Stanley Kubrick, of course. He appeared in Kubrick's last film, Eyes Wide Shut, as well as many others. DiCaprio has starred for guys like Sam Raimi, James Cameron. He made Titanic with James Cameron. Woody Allen, Danny Boyle, Sam Mendes, Christopher Nolan, Clint Eastwood, Quentin Tarantino, and most recently he is in The Revenant for Alejandro Inarritu, and he might win Best Actor for that. Tom Cruise has made 2 movies with Steven Spielberg. DiCaprio has just made 1, but it's one of his very best, Catch Me If You Can. In addition to making 2 movies with Tom Cruise, Edward Zwick also directed DiCaprio in Blood Diamond, which is another movie he got a Best Actor nomination for. And whereas Tom Cruise starred in the Ridley Scott film Legend, DiCaprio was in Body of Lies for Ridley Scott. That was one of the several films that Ridley Scott made with Russell Crowe. So as far as his best movies go, well, there's a few that stand out. Catch Me If You Can, of course. And of the Scorsese movies that he's made, my favorite is definitely The Departed. The Departed is a fantastic movie, one of the very best to come out that year, and one of my favorite Scorsese movies. I didn't think that DiCaprio was especially well cast in some of the movies in which he plays like sort of hard asses, but he actually works really well as sort of the scrappy undercover cop in The Departed. When I found out that he and Matt Damon had been cast in those 2 lead roles in The Departed, I had already seen the Hong Kong original, and so it wasn't hard for me to guess which character DiCaprio would play and which character Matt Damon would play. Matt Damon plays the guy who's working for Jack Nicholson, the mobster, who goes to the police academy and then feeds Nicholson information on the cops' movements, whereas DiCaprio is working the other side. He is a secret cop who's working for the gangster directly, but he's feeding the cops information on what the gangster's doing. It all gets really hairy, but it's a terrific movie. My favorite film of DiCaprio's has to be Inception, Christopher Nolan's film Inception, which is a movie that has an incredibly original concept, and the execution of it is just stunning, fascinating. One of my favorite experiences seeing a movie in the theater was going to see this movie in IMAX, and I was just blown away by everything. It's not just a beautiful movie, it's just like an incredibly exciting movie, and the score is incredible, of course. A lot of people make fun of the score because it appears in so many trailers, or at least a lot of trailer music imitates it. You've got, everyone complaining about the bah, bah, in all these trailers now, and it works really well. It's actually a slowed down version of a piece of music that is heard elsewhere in the film. Inception has a really great cast of Nolan regulars, but this is actually the only movie that DiCaprio's made with Christopher Nolan. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the 2 of them decided to work together again, because Nolan has a tendency to reuse the same actors a lot in his various casts. But yeah, tremendously exciting movie, very, very original, just a stunning film, one of my favorites to come out of that year, 2010, which was a pretty great year for movies, considering The Social Network and Toy Story 3 also came out that year. Pretty strong year, but Inception was one of the very best. So yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about, I forgot to mention that, the initial big thing that made DiCaprio a star, how it was similar to Tom Cruise, whereas Tom Cruise started with Risky Business, and then his next film was Top Gun, the blockbuster. DiCaprio had sort of the same thing happen. He was in Romeo and Juliet after some early work, which was very popular, but then he became a megastar with Titanic, which was just like the following year. So yeah, very, very similar career paths for those 2 guys. And I don't think DiCaprio doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to look for a Mission Impossible type franchise to play the same character over and over again. But you never know. Who knows? I mean, Tom Cruise seems to be taking a break from really making serious movies, and he's more interested in doing action films and futuristic sci-fi movies. One of his best is Edge of Tomorrow, which unfortunately was kind of a flop. And DiCaprio has his share of flops as well, I suppose, movies that don't find an audience really, but he's probably going to be a star for a very long time, just the same way Tom Cruise is. and he has the kind of adventurous taste, and they're willing to go the extra mile for a part. You know how Tom Cruise does all his own stunts, or at least it appears that he does all his own stunts. In the movies that he makes, DiCaprio went above and beyond for The Revenant, wading around in incredibly cold water and eating raw meat from animals when he's actually a vegetarian, all kinds of crazy stuff. So yeah, again, the similarities kind of struck me between those two guys, and so I wanted to make a little video about it. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it very much. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so, and visit our Facebook page. And also we have an Instagram page as well, and all those links you'll find below in the description. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again with a new theme next week. Later.